Hi, I'm Becky Lyons. Welcome to Jesus Speaks in the Book of Mormon and in Dreams. So today we are reading the book Understanding Your Endowment by Cory B.Jensen. This is what the book looks like. And we'll just go ahead and read the back of the book. Enrich your temple experience. This easy-to-read book clearly explains the meaning of the temple ordinances in your life while still respecting the temple's sacred nature. This book helps you unravel some of the mysteries and more fully appreciate the beautiful purpose for these ordinances. Packed with insights, understanding your endowment will enrich your temple worship by increasing your comprehension of all the temple's teachings. Cory Jensen has written a thoughtful and beautiful discourse on a vital and sensitive subject, the temple endowment. Most young people go to the temple for the first time unprepared. Jensen unravels the mysteries and shares insights with the reader that reveals the most important question of all, why. I highly recommend it. Mark L. Peterson. Cory Jensen provides a spiritually rich exploration of the symbols, covenants, and experiences the temple uses to instruct and inspire us. I love his focus on deepening our covenant relationship with God, whose presence we seek. If you're looking for more motivation to attend a temple more often or gain greater insight into its transformational potential, you'll find find plenty of both in these pages. Wendy Ulrich, PhD. So if you go back, quite a few videos. I think I read this about 2 weeks ago. I started reading. So Cory Jensen, if you don't know about Cory Jensen, he has written 3 books on the temple. So the first one is Preparing for the Endowment. We're not going to read that one. It's kind of like for missionaries and new members that have been in the church for a year. They're for new people that are just going to the temple to try to understand that. So I won't read that one, but we're going to read the second one, which is Understanding Your Endowment. That is Understanding Your Endowment. And then I was going to read, then the third book is called Completing Your Endowment. So Cory B. Jensen, he has received his calling election made sure. And he says, I don't say that to boast or brag, but Heavenly Father said to tell people that. And so that they realize that just normal, ordinary people can receive their calling and election made sure. He said, I'm not a special order guy. I'm just a normal guy. And there's a protocol you can follow. And then he tells, like in book 3, there's a whole chapter on calling election made sure, and he talks all about it. And so I already read that, so you can go back a few videos and find that. I read the calling election made sure video, that chapter that he read in the third book. But we're going to go back to this second book, because in the second book he explains a lot about the endowment that is explained even further in the third, so it would make more sense to start book 2 and then move on to book 3. So I'm going to go ahead and read the preface, or the preface, however you want to say it. And then after I read the preface, then I'll stop this one and we'll go to chapter 1. And chapter 1 is on covenants. And also Cory Jensen, if you're interested, he does an interview with Megan Farner on Latter-day Disciples podcast. Go to her playlist on Latter-day Disciples podcast. Go to the playlist. Go to interviews with guests, and then go to, there's a video called Understanding Your Endowment with Cory Jensen. He talks all about his books, and then he talks about how he received his calling election made sure. I believe it's at like 40 minutes, and I did do a video on that too, but either way, you can watch that. So we're going to read the preface here. He says, I owe everything to my Jesus and humbly dedicate this work and these books to him. Without him, our temples would be meaningless. His love, condescension, and grace offered so freely to all of us overwhelm me. Preface. Do you ever feel like there is something more to the temple, but you just aren't quite getting it? Perhaps at times you've even found yourself distracted or bored at a temple session. It doesn't need to be that way. Coming to understand our own temple endowment is a personal, sacred journey, one largely between us individually and the Lord. No one other than the Lord is really qualified to unfold everything, and much of that will come quietly through the Spirit. Part of the beauty of the temple's ordinances and teachings lies in the fact that the Lord can personalize them to whatever stage we are at in our individual growth. The path to understanding requires time, effort, and experience. Sometimes it may seem a bit overwhelming to you. We may need some help, or at least a foundation from which to begin. The intent of this book is to help to lay that foundation and enrich your temple experience. It is written for believing Latter-day Saints who would like to better understand their own temple endowment. President David O. McKay once stated, I have met so many young people who have been disappointed after they have gone through the house of the Lord. They have been honest in that disappointment. Some of them have shed tears as they have opened their hearts and expressed heartfelt sorrow that they did not see and hear what they felt they had hoped to see and hear and feel. I have analyzed these confessions as I have listened to them, and I have come to the conclusion that in nearly every single case it was a person's fault. He or she had failed to comprehend the significance of the message that is given in the temple. It's not just the youth who feel this way, but many adult members sense deeply the temple's importance, but they don't feel it all that well. So where do we turn to for help? Understanding your endowment provides some context and a foundation from the scriptures to assist you in recognizing the meaning of the temple and its purpose in your individual life. It is not intended as a scholarly publication, nor is it an apologetic work defending the temple. It's not meant to be comprehensive, but it may give you some new ways to view the temple. It is my earnest hope and prayer that it will aid you in coming to understand your own endowment. If circumstances permit, I highly recommend you attend the temple weekly. Doing so will change you and bless your life in ways you likely won't anticipate. It certainly has done so for me. Being in the temple regularly has been far but one of the best and greatest blessings of my life. It has blessed my marriage, my family, and made me a much better person. It has anchored me and helped me through the most difficult years of my life. The Lord has given me peace there, even while storms raged all around me. Over the past 30 years, my understanding of the temple has grown immensely, but I still feel like a slow learner when it comes to these things. I have found myself bored at times, felt like I wasn't getting it at other times. It has taken me many years, much study, and some patient instruction by the Spirit to gain the understanding I possess. Along the way, I've had a few good teachers that have helped me tremendously. I'm very indebted to them. Even so, things are still unfolding to me, and I'm still learning from the temple. Some people say they learn something new every time they go to the temple and every time they attend. It has not been that way for me, but insights have come line upon line with persistent attendance and effort. We all need the joy of discovery. We tend to value what we work for and what we struggle for. That which is too easily obtained is often not treasured. Each of us must labor to gain understanding. This book will not attempt to give you all the answers, nor do I believe I possess all of them. This text merely provides a starting point from which to begin. At the end of many of these chapters, you will find suggested homework for further study for you. But even then, recognize that temple is such a vast topic that we will only scratch the very surface here. We all need to seek further learning and by study and by faith. D&C 109:14. Sometimes, as a people, we are so reticent to speak of the temple that we almost say nothing. Perhaps we need to say a bit more. This work tries to maintain an appropriate balance. President B.Jensen remarked, because of the sacredness of the temple, we are sometimes reluctant to say anything about the temple to our children or grandchildren. As a consequence, when they go there, they do so much without background to prepare them for the obligations and covenants they enter into. I believe a proper understanding of background will immeasurably help and prepare our youth for the temple. Some show up at the temple to receive their endowments without a clue as to what to expect. Their initial experience could have been greater meaning if they had some background and context to which to better understand the temple endowment. Like the Ethiopian man taught by Philip, new endowees may need some guidance and help, especially at the beginning. At an appropriate time, you may wish to use parts of what is contained herein as a resource to prepare your children or grandchildren for their upcoming temple experiences. This book actually began as a paper I wrote to my oldest daughter to prepare to receive her temple endowment. Our discussion of the temple will be based primarily upon the scriptures. The Lord holds the temple and its ordinances sacred. I hope it is the same for you. There will not be any discussion of elements that we have covenanted not to disclose, and I will seek to approach this topic with deep reverence and with humility. I alone am responsible for the content of this book. It does not in any way represent official doctrine of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Though it does represent my beliefs, it is by no means exhaustive or error-free. I am certain that these things contained herein, at least that 10 years from now, I may see things differently. Take what seems right to you and helpful to you, and please discard anything that doesn't. Part of the genius and beauty of the symbolism of the temple is that it allows the Lord to personalize and customize the experience to our individual needs and circumstances. Your understanding may be different from mine, and that's completely fine. So I'm going to stop here. That is the preface, and then I'm going to go ahead and read chapter 1, Covenants. So this book, I haven't even read this book yet. I finished Completing Your Endowment, the third book, so I'm doing it backwards, and we'll read 2, and then there is also the first book, Preparing for Your Endowment. So his third book was incredible. Like this man, the depth of understanding and the things he figures out, or the Spirit teaches them, are incredible, and things I would have never even thought. It will help you so much in the temple and so much understanding. It's such a more depth and a deeper understanding. And it's fascinating reading these books. Like I said, I've only read the third one, but I'm sure this one will be just as good. So let's start reading the covenants together. I will see you in the next video. Covenants, Chapter 1.